Um, hello, hello, hello. 1 2 1 2. Yeah, Moon. Hello. Darren James in the building. Oof. Can't hear you, bro. Yep, I can see the comments coming right now. Right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Right, you can hear me. That's great. Darren James. Well, I've said this story many times, but it never, I don't know. I feel like it's more interesting to others than it is for me, but then I can see the reaction once people see that what I've been through and how I've been able to make a change. So let's let it go. Where can I start from? Darren James. Okay, let's start from. Bear in mind, you can ask me questions from before this, but I'll start from, let's say, secondary school. My first days of secondary school. Went to a school. Grew up in Birmingham. I'm a 90s baby, born in 1992. I was born in the Newtown area of Birmingham. Soon moved to Yardley, Erdington, Winson Green, and various other areas. But I spent most of my time in Erdington. From the age of about 11, I started to get involved in things on the streets, such as just minor things, just like little robberies and whatnot. Because you wanted the things that you saw the people around your area with, so you thought the easiest way to get them was to take them from everybody else. Some of my funniest stealing memories are actually phone shops and whatnot. I used to go in there and ask the few phones and take them, but that was back when I was on the small things. Eventually that developed into becoming a salesman. Right. Okay, the questions are coming. Right. What made me fall into the lifestyle to begin with? Right. I'll start with the first question. What made me fall into it? Um, Lived in a single parent house. Have 5 sisters, 2 brothers. Um, Money was scarce, so I had to make it out there, and I didn't know any other way out to make it than what I saw out um, with other people. So that would have been selling drugs, stealing, and things like that. And obviously, once you get a taste for the finer things in life, in pursuing those things, there, it becomes addictive, and you want to go further and further down that road. So soon turned into crack and heroin, and then crack and heroin soon turned into cocaine. Um, but yeah, my lowest point. Hold up. Question number 2: how bad is the situation compared to other places you've been? To be honest, you know what? I'm never one to say that. Yeah, I'm never one to say that. You know, yeah, I grew up in a bad area. If you compare, what we face over here in England compared to what people face in other places of the world, it's really nothing. Like, yeah, there's poverty over here, but I've seen poverty in places like Mexico and Egypt, and it's dire poverty. So me comparing myself to places on a global scale, then you can look back and think, maybe what I was doing was stupid, because there's so much opportunities that you can take advantage of, and not just look at yourself in this, first world country and say, you know what, yeah, I'm on benefits or whatnot, but life is hard, so forget it. Frig everybody now. I kind of started to look at it from an aerial view and realize that I had it bad, but I'm not the worst, so I have to make it right, Question I've got, thanks for that question. Is it Marshall? Cool. Question from Frank. At what point in your life did you hit the lowest point? Now, this is probably gonna be the favorite question, because anytime I talk about the lowest point in my life, it would have been the year 2009. Now, the year 2009, it was kind of like every year from like 2005, I said to myself, I'm gonna stay away from the police, because I kept on getting arrested, right? And New Year's Day in 2009, I had that same New Year's resolution: stay away from the police, because I kept on getting locked up. And funnily enough, the 14th of January 2009, it all began. I must have done something in December involving a firearm, and my house got raided on the 14th of January. I knew it was the police. When the police knock on the door, you just know. It was like 4:30 in the morning, and armed police everywhere, and just ran up in the house, took me away, and searched the entire house. The funny thing about that situation was that I had like 3 ounces of weed upstairs. I put it behind my sister's wardrobe, and they never found it. I was in the police. I was praying on my knees, saying, "God, please don't let them find the weed." They never found it. Anyway, I got bail for that case. I was on bail for so long, and I kept on doing my things on the streets. Eventually got an ASBO. I got an ASBO in 2000 and no, sorry. I got an ASBO in, it was like February. I got banned from the area I was living in. I got banned from various other areas, banned from associating with other people, and yeah, I ended up breaching the conditions later on in the year. Just before I breached it, my house got raided again for a firearm, because I got involved in another firearm incident, and I breached those bail conditions attached with the ASBO, which led to me going in prison. Now, I was in prison for about 10 days, and I was awaiting basically a hearing, basically a trial. And the one thing that saved me was there's a condition written in my ASBO, interim ASBO papers, that I'm not allowed to be in a particular area unless I'm with a reasonable adult, and I was with somebody else who was above the age of 18. So that allowed me to walk a free man. And then as soon as I came out, I missed a few GCSE exams, but I came out, took the rest of them, and I went to college. And I thought, you know what? I started selling drugs again after I came out of prison, but then I just realized that I just can't be bothered no more. Let me just try something new in my life. And then I went to college, studied law, psychology, public services. Then went to uni, and the rest is history. But Frank, that's your question answer. 2009 was my lowest point, but it was actually a significant year in my life because it allowed me to, it's put everything into perspective, you know. So that was probably my lowest point. Thanks for that one, Frank. Reese. Was I born into a religious household? Yes. When I was born, my mum was a Muslim, Nation of Islam. My mum, well, okay, let me go further back in time. My mother was born into a Christian household because my grandparents came over in the Windrush from the Caribbean after World War II. Born over here into a Christian household, and obviously back in that era, the Nation of Islam was big. You know, Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Louis Farrakhan. My mum turned into a Muslim, and then she converted back to Christianity when I was about 3, and I was essentially brought up in a Christian household. So, Reese, that's your question answered. Erin, worst thing you've seen in your experience growing up in such an environment? You know what? There was a guy called Stephen Davidson. His name, we called him Silk on the streets. He was a very good guy. He was in the same gang as me, but he was a cool guy. You know, we was with him in an area called Neachels. He jumped in a car with 3 other guys that were there. Thought nothing of it. They said they was going to the other side of town to go do something. So, you know, who knows what they were going to do. And then I had a phone call later on that night from some girls, because, you know, girls on the streets would just talk. I'd hear rumors that this person's dead, that person's dead, and it turned out that it wasn't. But then I had a phone call in the night saying, Darren, is Silk dead? Silk's dead. I'm like, no, he's not. I was with him earlier. Then the next day I woke up and I found out that he got shot in the neck, and it just that killed. That was in 2008, and it's just kind of like made me think, shit, that could have been me. That could be anybody, you know, because we're all in the same team, and he got shot dead just like that in a drive-by. So that kind of shook me up a bit, thinking that I don't want to die. And he was only 19, so I think that really hit home. That did. I saw a lot of things, but I feel like that one really hit home, because I knew the guy. I was just with him. You know, a matter of hours later, he's dead. So it's just like probably less than an hour, you know, because it didn't take too long for him to get from where we were to the other place where he got shot. So yeah, that was a sad situation. That one's Aaron. Thanks for the question. Warren, how was it even possible for you to get into law, considering everything you went through? I get that question a lot, but you know what it is? You got to know the laws to play the game, and you got to know the rules to play the game. Section 5, 1B, I think it's Section 5.1b of the Rehabilitation of Offenders Act 1974 states that, provided it's not Schedule 1 offence, rape, murder, or anything involving a vulnerable person, the rehabilitation of an offence is only based upon the sentence and not the actual crime. So, all of my offences that I was arrested for have been rehabilitated, and once you've rehabilitated from an offence, in line with the threshold given by the statute, then you don't have to disclose anything for any job that you go to. But I think if for anyone that's got a criminal record, the Rehabilitation of Offenders Act, Section 5, just have a look through it, and that'll tell you everything you need to know about when and when not to disclose your convictions. And me, I don't, so I just don't. Thanks for that, Warren. What does if I had to carry a gun? You know what? I was smart. I didn't carry all the time. I had a girl that I had a girl who was a friend. She used to carry it for me. She used to put it in a little grey handbag. So she used to carry it for me. She had the gloves. Anytime I needed her to pull it, anytime I wanted to pull it out, she'd pull it out for me. So I just kept my hands clean. And she held all the drugs for me, because back in the area, you know, if you're young and you're black, you're just getting stopped. It's just the way it is. So I used to roll with a girl, and she used to carry the stuff, and it was just like that. So you almost felt powerful, because as soon as you pulled it out, people would. It's more of like a persuasive mechanism. People would go on a certain way, you pull it out and they'll change their act, or where's this guy? There was a time when I had to use it when a lot of drugs went missing, um, and I couldn't find the guy, so I went to his parents, his brother's house, and that's when it started. Asked, where is he? And they wouldn't tell me. She pulled it out, and that's when they started telling me. So it was more of like a persuasive mechanism, you know, and people would be sure to answer once it's shown in their presence. So thanks for that, Ivan. Yeah, carrying a gun, to be honest, the novelty wears off, but you know, once you first see you feel powerful, then you know, it's just one of those things. Thanks for that one, Ivan. For Ruth, what was your family dynamics like? Did you feel like they always tried to change you and you were just unruly, or was your change something you found within yourself? I think it's a bit of both. My family dynamics, I knew both my parents, but they split up when I was young. Um, but so it was almost like I had my siblings and my mum, and then my father was the other side of town. I was the other side of town, which I couldn't go to because of gang involvement. So that was the dynamics. 5 sisters, 2 brothers. Yeah. Did you feel like was I an unruly child? I believe I was. You know, I knew right. I've always known right from wrong. Even when I was in a gang, I knew I never wanted to stay in a gang. I just wanted to make money, get women, and just live life. You know, I didn't really want to be. I didn't really want to be one of those like guys like the olders, always in and out of jail, got several children for several. I was never wanted to be that. You know what I'm trying to say? Even at my worst, I just thought I just want to make money. You know, and that's what I want to do. But I don't want to go jail. But it was kind of difficult for me to try and avoid jail while still being involved in all that stuff. So as I got older, I kind of like drifted away and tried to make money on the down low instead of under the spotlight of the gang and police and whatnot. So I was unruly. But then I found the change within myself gradually. You know, people started dying around me a lot. I started getting arrested like it's way too much. And there was problems in the area, and it was getting difficult for me to actually sell in the area that I was selling in. So it was like that combined with prison, combined with people dying around me. I was just like, you know what, it's just time to go, man. But luckily for me, even though I was in a gang and whatnot, I didn't fuck up in school. Excuse the French. I mean, I went to 4 secondary schools, but as soon as my GCSE started, I made sure that I didn't mess them up, because I always knew that I need to keep my options open. So I didn't mess up in school, left with some good grades. Okay, alright, grades. Got me into college and whatnot and so forth. So yeah, thanks for that question, Ruth. Let's go. Spila, how did you manage to get away from the circle of people you're involved with? Now, I get asked this question a lot. How did I get away? In Birmingham, basically, there's 2 gangs that have been going on since the 80s, Burger Bar crew and the Johnson crew, right? You know, there's been little denominations where they've changed their names and whatnot. So, you know, but in the north of Birmingham was you catch all the gangs. The south of Birmingham is where you'd probably catch like the guys trying to get out of the gang, or not even, or get out the areas and sell the drugs, because there's a lot of clientele in the south, so you catch them around there, but you wouldn't catch too much gang activity in the south of Birmingham. It's mainly in the north. And I just basically moved. When I came out of jail, I moved from the north to the south and got my own place in the south. Stayed there until I left Birmingham. And that was it. Just literally changed my location, changed my number, and it was just like that. You know, simple as that. Thanks for that one, Spieler. What made you get into law? I've always just wanted to know the rules of the game, you know. What made me want to get into law? I remember I was 11 years old, and I was speaking to my head teacher, and he brought me to his office. I used to just want to speak to him and chill with him, because he taught me drafts. So, you know, I would always ask him all the techniques and what. Then he said, you know what, Darren, I think it's time for you to be taught how to play chess. Then he said to me, Darren, you know, you can learn all the rules of the game. Anybody can learn the rules of chess, you know. Anybody can learn the rules of chess. It's the strategy that you have which is going to separate you from the next person. And it kind of like transpired in my head that I need to know the laws of where I'm living because it affects me on a daily basis, you know, whether it's down to police, you know, your rights when it comes to police, to just anything. It affects me every day. So I need to know those rules, you know. I could have studied something that you know, that only affects, you know, certain fraction of society, like, I don't know, games design. But to me, I want something that can affect change everywhere. So I thought law was that subject, you know. I think, you know, even my options for A level, I chose psychology, which affects everybody because it's how people perceive. You know, it's a social science and everything to do with that stuff, and public services. It affects everybody. So I thought, let me see that. And the standout one to me was law, so I pursued that. Then I realised that I love to find arguments in law, and I'm very good at arguing them. So I just perfected my craft and continued in that journey. Thanks for that question, Spieler. Malcolm, do you feel youths from such areas, black boys in particular, are thrust into these situations where this is the only thing they can do to somewhat succeed? Okay. That's a good question. Thanks for that one, Malcolm. Yes, because it's almost like, I'll break it to you like this. I went to I went to 3 black schools where was mainly black students. Then I went to for GCSEs, I went to a school which was mainly white students. In the school when I went, where there was mainly white students, they like expected me to be the baddest, to be the most thugged out person there. At that point, I didn't care who was the hardest in school because I was already the hardest on the street, you know. So I didn't really care about, you know, it was in a different area. I just didn't care. But they expected it out of me. You know, when it came to drugs, Darren, like I didn't want to bring nothing from the streets into the school environment. But it's almost like, Darren, can you get drugs? Can you get this? Like, when I'm walking on the street, yo, can you get weed? Can you get coke? Can you get this? It's almost like it's a bit too easy not to do it. You know, it's just kind of like, well, it's expected of me, and plus I can make money out of it too. So why not? You know, if people look at me as a black guy just walking on the street, even though I got a suit on, they'll come up to me and ask me, Darren, not Darren, just excuse me, can you get coke? Can you get weed? Can you get this? I'm just like, you know, let me get involved because I fit the description anyway. There's that part. That's part of it, and I believe that role models. Now I believe there's just as much black role models out there that than there is you know, bad influences. You know, it's just that the bad always gets the most exposure. Like, you never see a tabloid speaking about how many black boys are you know, succeeding in life, how many entrepreneurs there are, how many people that are doing well with them, so how many doctors and whatnot there are. They'd rather print out, oh, black boys are the reason for the country's gun crime, and I've seen those tabloids, you know. So it's kind of like, when you see that as a youngster and you've grown up in a difficult circumstance, it's almost kind of like, well, if that's what me and me as a black boy, if that's what I'm destined to be in the eyes of the world, then what's the point in me trying to really get out of it? You know, there's nothing there for them to really to aspire to apart from that which is pushed in their face on a daily basis. So I feel like that's a real barrier which kind of takes it away from them, which kind of takes away their passion to succeed, you know. And plus, you've got like the social media now, you know. How many? I think it's boring, to be honest. How many rappers do you see talk about the same shit? I flip bricks. I buy gold chains. I buy this. I got Louis Vuittons on my feet. I got this. I got that. I just think it's boring because, you know what it is. The truth is, a lot of black guys live that lifestyle, but you know what it is. You got like 1,000,001 rappers talking about the same shit, and these kids buy into it. You know, back when I was on the streets, I was listening to people like, you know, like 50 Cent and a lot of West Coast rappers like Yuck Mouth and Sebo. Killer Tay and all them, like Hollow Tip. There's a lot of people that will speak that shit, and I'd love to hear it because that's what I was involved in. That's what I wanted to get involved in. So yeah, there's just a lot of there's more bad influences that get the exposure than there are good role models. You know, so I think that is it's like a dark mist that blocks their vision to things that that wouldn't otherwise send them to prison. So but hope that answers your question, Malcolm. Thanks for that. Oh, it must be good to know the laws abiding and disobey them. Surely no one can no one can pull the wool over my eyes. Because I study hard. I don't read. I don't like to read. I don't like to read stories. I don't like to read. I like to read reality and facts and laws and rules because I like to stay in reality. I've never liked Vampire Diaries or Twilight or shit like that. Keep me in reality, because that's what I'm living in. I'm not living in Pandora. I'm living on planet Earth. So no, I'm up to date with what's going on in the world, and I'll stay that way. No one can pull the wool over my eyes. But yeah, thanks for that question. It says Darren, so I'm sure your name's Darren. It's a great name. Let's go. Got another question from Spieler. What is a key law that we should know? That will be useful for us, which you may not know. That would be a difficult question because you know what it is. I've reached different stages in my life. For me right now, my most important laws for me at this level is tax avoidance. People talk about it all the time. It's immoral and that, but it's not illegal, so do it. In my eyes, I'm trying to set up companies and just avoid tax. So I know how to do it. I've studied it in masters. So it's as simple as that. And just I might as well give you a little breakdown. Now, I've studied it. I think I looked at these figures. I think a couple of weeks ago, but it could have been before April the 1st. But if it was, then the figures may have changed. But they change every April, every tax year. Corporate tax threshold is 220% for the first £300,000 of any first £300,000 of taxable profits is 20%. That's number one. Number two, you have income tax, which you have an income tax allowance of £11,000, which you don't have to pay tax on. Number three, then you have dividends tax, which is £4,999.99. You don't have to pay tax on. So if you open a company, then you don't have to pay tax. Don't have to pay corporate. You want to try and avoid corporate taxes. It's 20%. You don't want to pay that. But if you play your cards right in your company, you're going to earn £11,000 income tax. You're going to earn every year £4,999.99 dividends. Anything £5,000 between £5,000 and £10,000 dividends gets taxed at 7.5%. Just bear that in mind. So you can earn £15,999.99 per year in your own company of the money that you declare on your tax return without paying tax. So a penny short of £16,000, you can pay that. You can get that paid to yourself through your own company, and you can live off that without any taxman coming for you. Any other money that's made through the company, you don't declare it, and you just live off it. That's the easiest way to launder money, is to just live off it, buy your weekly shopping off it. So even if your company makes £20,000 a year, you declare £11,000, pay yourself a penny short of £5,000 on dividends, and you can spend the rest on your shopping and whatnot. So to me, right now in my life, that's my most important law. For anyone else, back when I started university, the most important law for me was that as soon as you're arrested, everything you say will be recorded. Before the point you're arrested, it's inadmissible in court. Anything after that, believe me, they'll bring it up in court. So say, for example, now this has happened to many people I know, or maybe a few. If you get arrested with a firearm, they'll ask, whose is it? Happened to me. Whose is it? Is it yours? You can tell us who it is, Darren, blah, 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 blah. But we're not in an interview. My lawyer's not present, but you're asking me questions. If you answer them, then you're digging yourself a hole. Don't say anything once you get arrested. Just wait until your solicitor's there. you can only obtain the evidence that they're going to disclose to you in the interview prior to the interview if you have a solicitor. If you don't, then it's just on the spot thinking once you're in an interview, and that's a dangerous thing, especially if you're trying to get away with something that you've done. So stay silent as soon as you get arrested. And I'm hoping none of you do, but that's an important law. Is there any more? Yeah. If there's anything that you're doing in life, always have it in writing. Just make sure it's in writing, and make sure it's signed. It's signed by both parties, isn't it? That way you're covered in case anything dodgy happens. All right. Make sure everything's in writing. And those are my top 3 that I can think of right now. Thanks for that one, Spieler. Have you ever had to use your gun on someone? I've been seen. Yeah, I've been. Hopefully, there's no police on this one, car. I got arrested for for all types of madness. So yeah, that one's from Tariq. Thanks, Tariq. Never had to use it, but I've used it. Okay. Never had to use it on someone. I've used it just to fire rounds and see how it feels and see what happens, But yeah. Anyone's ever seen anyone get shot? So I've seen someone get shot. Seen someone get stabbed several times. I've been the person doing the stabbing, and yeah, it's kind of like a thing, which was quite dangerous actually. The gang I was in, put it this way, you don't pull your weapon out if you're not intending to use it, even if the situation's small. If you're pulling it out, you're using it, and I've had to do it several times, but I've never pulled out a gun on anyone. Okay, that's a lie. I've pulled out a gun on someone twice, but I didn't use it. But there was a reason why. I won't disclose that, but I've used a knife several times, and I know knife crime is serious, and I'm not trying to be blasé about it, but you want the facts in it, so I'm going to give you them. Knife and gun crime is a very serious thing, and it shouldn't happen, but that was back then in it, so I'm much older and more mature now, so I can't see myself doing that again. So yeah, I've done it, I've seen it, and this is what it is. People ask, how does it feel to stab? Literally, if you get your fist and punch yourself down on your leg, that's exactly how it feels to stab somebody. You don't feel it. You don't feel it going into the flesh. All it feels like is if you're punching them. And yeah, that question may come up, or may have been there, but I'm scrolling through them. Thanks for that one, Tariq. In regards to your law field, do you feel racist tension issues or with yourself and others there? Chris, thanks for that one. You know what it is? It is when it comes to racism and things like that. Let's get the definition correct first. Racism is a system which is put in place to treat a particular racial group as inferior to another. So in this case, the inferior, the person who's seen as inferior, or the people who are seen as inferior in this case are African people worldwide. And there's a lot of history behind that. I won't go into it too much. Slavery plays a big part. So yeah, there's always going to be racial tension, because we only got our civil rights 50 years ago. So and prior to that there was 150 years of Jim Crow, then another 400 years of hardcore slavery. So I don't think we're in any position to tell us as black people to forget about, or to get over anything, because I was speaking to my mom yesterday. She was saying, Darren, things were very different when I was younger. These police used to come around, take our brothers and that into the back of vans, beat the shit out of them. There's certain places that black people couldn't go. He'd said on the front, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. That was my mum's era, and and those people that were living in that era, the white people, are still alive today. So I can't imagine that racism is going to go away within my lifetime. You know what I'm trying to say? Because it's been going on since 1492 or something like that. It's been going on for a long time. And so we're in the early stages. It's probably going to be another 500 years before we see any dramatic improvements. But do I feel any racial tension? No, I don't. But there's things like this. I've said a few moments ago that, or a few minutes ago that, there's like an expectation that black guys be big, black, slang talking and whatever else. Say if, when I'm talking, I like to do hand gestures and whatnot. When I'm at work, now I've been at work and there's doing a few occasions where I'm just doing a hand gesture and people jumping. I'm just thinking like, I'm not going to attack you. I don't know if it's to do with my skin color. I don't know. When it comes to racially prejudiced, I think it's very difficult to prove. So I don't pull out a race card, but there could be a lot of reasons. But that's always going to be one in the back of your mind as a black person, But obviously, I don't like pulling a race card, and nobody else likes anyone pulling a race card. But it's always going to be there in the back of your mind as a reason why certain things happen to you, because it just does. Things like that just happen. I'll give you an example. When I was working in and it doesn't just happen to black people; it happens to people of Asian origin as well. I was working in a law firm, Rag and Co. It's changed its name now to Rag Lance and Graham because it's done a merger. But back when it was Rag and Co., there was a British Airways must have had a CV from a man with a Muslim name. Didn't get an interview. The man resent the CV under an English name, got an interview, then he sued British Airways. So racism and being racially prejudiced, it can happen in so many subtle ways. Especially, America is very different. It's blatant, but in the UK, it's very subtle. So I can imagine there are, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't give me a chip on my shoulder because, the rules have already been set. We just have to play them. Britain was built off slavery, so it's kind of like the rules have been set. The blueprint is there. It's either you complain about it or you play the game. And I'm one to play the game, So if you want to be racially prejudiced or not, I just don't really care because it angers me, but I'm still going to live my life and I'm going to do the best I can for me and my people, So it's just like that. A few more things, Chris. I've been working in barristers' chambers and whatnot, and I've had barristers come up to me and say, Darren, do you want to be a barrister? Are you sure? Because the bread and butter of the legal profession is the white middle class male, and you don't fit into that category. So many doubt. I've so much doubt, and because of my skin color, and it's just like the rules are there, but I'm still gonna play the game. I was working in Birmingham City Council legal department before it got shut down, and I had a Ugandan-born Indian man. He was the head of the legal department, and he told me straight down, look, the reason why black boys don't get chances in the legal professions is because there's racial prejudice going on. The people that are recruiting are white males. They'll let the black ladies through because it's a sex thing, but they're not going to let the man through because black males are way too dominant. They want people in that they can control. That's just a few things, but I've been told a lot in this legal world, and it's a shame, but it's at the same time it's the rules, it's the game, and so we have to play regardless. We just have to, and when you play to your advantage, I'm sure the rules you'll be in a position where you can change the rules. So we just have to play in it, and that's the way I see it. Thanks for that question, Chris. How did you find the strength to overcome in such dire situations, Spieler? Because I always knew, even though my mum hated what I was doing, my family hated what I was doing, relationships were broken down because of it. I knew in myself that I'm never going to be a bum. I just knew it in myself. Now, I believe a lot of guys on the streets, have that mentality. They're never going to be a bum. But I'm never going to be a bum, and I'm never going to be in prison again. I don't want to go to prison. But a lot of guys say to themselves, I'm never going to be a bum, but there's a chance I could go to prison because what I'm doing is going to, he's going to get me there, get me sent there. So I'm just one of those guys that I was never going to be a bum, but I was never going to end up in prison again. So I'm just that guy. And you think into existence when you speak to yourself every day and you tell yourself, look, I'm going to do something with my life, even though I'm in this prison cell and I'm looking at 5 years in jail, and it just comes into existence, and unfortunately that was me. So thanks for that question. Glenn, what was the scary situation you were in? Scary situation I was in. Now, I thought I was going to die this time. We was me and my two boys were in the wrong side of town. Now there's a bus in the Birmingham called the number 11, and that goes around the outskirts. It's like a circle around Birmingham. Now for us to get back to Erdington, we would have had to go through an area called Winston Green and Handsworth, and that's the area that we couldn't go in. But for us to get to Erdington another way, it would have taken us having to take another train and a bus. It was as long, so we thought, let's just stay on the bus and we can get to Erdington a quick way. And was like, you know what, no one's gonna be around. I'm like, you can walk through the hood sometimes and you won't bump into anybody. And we just thought, you know what, it can happen in our hood, so it can happen in every other hood. We can breeze through and no one's gonna see us. But we were wrong. We was on the bus, and literally I saw, when you're in a gang, you have rivals, but then you have personal problems with certain people. And I bumped into, they were on the bus going the opposite direction. They saw my face and they jumped off. There was literally, honest to God, there was about 30 guys. And as soon as I saw my face, it was all over. I ran downstairs, told the driver, do not stop the bus, don't stop the bus. And he couldn't speak English, so he opened the bus and it was just all over, man. And I ran upstairs and said, bros, this is it. Literally, I had all of my personal enemies were all present, all their friends and everybody. I just thought someone's about to die, and literally he's had to sit down. We took the beating. I got thrown out the top of the window, and thrown at the top of the window at the back of the fire exit, and all three of us received a heck of a beating. But the mad thing was, I had my face covered on the floor, and my boy looks like me, and he got the worst beating. He got stabbed up and everything. Me, because I had a cap on, I had a fisherman hat on, and I had a hood on, so my face was facing the ground, so I was just getting stamped on the ground, and I thought I got stabbed, but I didn't. I was getting beat up. The guy who the one who they thought was me, he received the worst beating and the stabbing and whatnot. So that was like a near miss, and then we managed to get out. But that was a scary situation, I thought, because the beating lasted for ages. So I thought that was it, But yeah, that was that. Thanks for that question, Glenn. Do you believe everyone can change, or some people just born to be street? Everybody can change, man. To be honest, like, if you really believe that waiting, having a phone line, having a drug phone is fun, being on call 24 hours a day, I hated the hell out of it, because like, you don't get no sleep, man. I'm good there in and out of my house, just trying to serve people at 2, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. It's like you don't get no sleep, you don't shower. It's just like, it's hardcore, man, and it's just, it takes its toll on you, So born to be street. I think people are born with certain mentalities in it that materialize into certain things. My mentality was, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it properly. My mum always told me that, and I kind of like applied that to the street. So I'm going to be a street, but I'm going to be the baddest one out there. I've done many things to accomplish that goal, and that just ended me up in prison. So I thought, if I'm going to do something, let me do it properly. Let's go to education and then see where I end up. And I've ended up in great places. So yeah, I think people's morals are misapplied. If they apply them to the right things, then they could do great things. Just think about it. Every street boy or gang or gangster has an entrepreneurial skill. It's being able to maintain a brand. You have a brand. Mine was Grams. That's what they used to call me on the street. Grams, yeah. And they just knew me for certain things, and I had to maintain it. You know, never back down. If you pull something out, you use it. You just have to maintain it, because if you run away, that's your brand. That's your reputation for, you know, it's just showing your brand and your reputation. So you have to maintain it. You know, I mean, a lot of street boys can do that. If you apply that to something like a business, you could turn it into, you know, into a fortune. So it's just people's morals and ideas misapplied into things that can get them sent away for years. Thanks for that one, Zeno. Sounds like back in the day you knew lots of police on a first name basis, yeah. You should Google him. His name's PC Stretch. I see him beat up a lot of my friends, man. Dickhead. And I robbed 2 of his nephews, and I got away with it. But PC Stretch, dickhead. But he's a hench white guy. He didn't like he didn't mess about still, but yeah, PC Stretch. Ben Edwards, he was a dickhead. He was the one that raided my house, along with his friends. But he was the more vocal one, so I remembered him. PC Ben Edwards. But he was also a good guy, man. He told me, "Darren, what you doing, man? You're young. Go to college and fuck off to uni." That's what he'd always tell me. I'll be like, I knew in my head that that's what I was gonna do, but I'd act in front of him. But PC Ben Edwards, he was a good guy, but he used to run up in my house all the time. And there was PC Stretch. He was a dickhead. He beat up people and just yeah. And because of it, I robbed his nephews and got away with it. So yeah. But thanks for that one, Rana. What law would you say is the worst, but you can understand why it is there? I couldn't put a name on any law. I'd say any law that attempts to redress a culture. So any anti-discrimination laws, any what else? Any international laws to like the World Trade Organization, any government or any intergovernmental organizations which try to alleviate problems with the state of humanity. It's never going to happen. They're counted. They're not going to work. Reason being, how can you legislate against a culture? How can you do it? It's like, how can you legislate against the imbalance of global economics, resources? You can't, because capitalism runs it. Capitalism is a culture. You can't legislate against capitalism. You have to change the people. You can't change law. That's it. You know, the law's not going to, you know, the law can be there, but there's ways around it. There's always ways around laws. That's why there's lawyers. You know, anti-discrimination laws. Yeah, you're not allowed to discriminate, but it still happens, and you can't prove it. You feel me? It's very difficult to prove. If you really want to change discrimination, then you need to change the culture. And how's that going to happen? It's quite difficult, because, you know, if you remember me saying, you know, back when my mum was young in Birmingham, she as a black person was not allowed in certain places. Those people that were living in that era are still alive today, and that mentality would have been passed down. You see, so it's just like a culture that needs to change. So I just think that there's laws that some laws just can't change anything. You know, they're just pointless. So thanks for that one, Spieler. Who inspires you the most in life? The most in life? I like a few academics. Inspired the most in life. To be honest, I like Nas, the rapper. I love Nas. Love him. I just love that guy. He's always spoke a positive message. And I just think he's the greatest rapper. I love Tupac as well. Love Tupac. I got all of his albums. Got all of Nas's, all of Tupac's albums. Love those guys, rappers. You know, um, there's academics, Dr. Umar Johnson, um, Louis Farrakhan, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali. Um, uh, who else? There's a guy called Robin Walker. Um, it was lots. There's just so many. But yeah, people I can learn from. You know, I can't say there's somebody that I idolize as a god, but like there's people that I love, I learn from. If I can learn from you, you're a positive message, and you're a black guy, because you know I'll be real with you, man. I connect more with black role models than I do white because we can almost feel the same struggle. You know what I'm trying to say? Because we live in a world that systematically puts things in place that to the detriment of groups of people. So so yeah, that's just it. But yeah, there's a bunch, man. You know, I was also thinking how much I love. I was on a train this morning thinking about how much I love Justin Timberlake. He's a cool guy as well. Dr. Dre, but yeah, just and Kendrick Lamar. Can't forget him. Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole. Can't forget them guys. But yeah, those guys. Anyone with a positive message, and you know, I love them. Thanks for that one, Jane. Have you tried to help people you hung around? Yeah, I did. That one's from Lenny Adele. I did try and change certain people. There's one that I always tell people about. His name's Cyprian. There was a guy when I was ready to leave the whole gang thing. I went to college and whatnot. And I saw this guy called Cyprian that I used to be around, and he got good GCSEs, and he wanted to get into the gang. When I was leaving, I was telling him, bro, don't bother with it, man. You're just gonna help in jail. And there was a time when I was going to college, and I saw him, and I asked him, where you going? He said, I'm going to Coventry to sell some coke. I said, bro, do that, but make sure you be careful, man. You know, I don't really want you going to jail because it's too late. Like when I was in jail, like everybody was black, man. You know, it's like a slave ship in there. Everyone's black. I'm like, blood, like, is this where we're all gonna be? You know what I mean? Is this where we're destined to be? And it was shocking, man, when I was in jail. Everyone's black, man. There was a few white guys, but everyone's black. I'm thinking, what are you trying to do with your life, man? You're trying to serve time in a prison, or you're going to be out there? You know what I'm trying to say? There's too many women out here to be in jail, man. Not that I'm a woman, but you know I'm trying to say, man. Anyway, so yeah, that same guy that I told to go to college because of his GCSEs, he said, nah. What he said to me was this. He said to me, I'm black, so I can't make it through. And I'm always going to remember that statement, that sentence that he said to me. And I was like, bro, nah, there's loads of successful black people out there, man. You know, why can't you just, you know, why can't you just make something out of your life? But he kind of took that mentality with him. The next time I saw his face, my mum pulled out a newspaper and she said, Darren, do you know this person? I was like, yeah. That same guy, he was in the front of the newspaper, the Birmingham Mail, for stabbing another guy and killing him. He got murder at the age of 16. He got murder. Well, he was 17 when he got sentenced, but you know, he got life with a minimum of 16 years. And I was thinking to myself, so that mentality materialized. And I mean, I always think that if he as a black guy is thinking that, then how many others thinking that same thing? You know, because I'm black, I can't make it. You know, and now he's in jail. He's been in since what? Well, to be honest, he hasn't even done 5 years yet, and he's still got another 16. You know, it's just stupid, man. And plus, now because he's got a life sentence, he's always going to be unlicensed. So anything he does, he's going back to jail, man. It's just a life that he does. And the chances are he's probably learned his lesson, but he's never going to get a chance to have a second chance, because once you get life, it's over, man. So, and life doesn't mean life in prison. It just means anything you do. It's a life license. So you could steal a pack of chewing gums and you're still going back to jail. So that's the life sentence. But yeah, Lenny, I've tried to change a lot of people, man, but it's kind of like, it's a thing whereby a lot of them are stuck in their ways, so you almost have to let them do what they gotta do, and you do what you gotta do, and then see who comes out on top. And is it that difficult to deal with? It is, man, because think about this. Go onto YouTube, yeah? Now, I think music is a powerful resource. Go onto YouTube it's like you got people like me trying to change this thing. Then you got people like, you got the Blade Browns and the DVSs and the Stardoms and whoever else talks the same shit to deal. You're up against those, you know, those people. Them people are looked up to as gods because they gotta do their thing on the streets. Cool, I can't knock your hustle, but like, just do it in silence, please. You know what I'm trying to say? So you're up against that. That gets all the views, that gets all the spotlight, that gets all the attention, and that's what gets all of the that's what gets all the attention from the youngsters, and that's what they aspire to. They don't get attention. I don't get people like me. I'm not saying that I want attention. I'm saying that the message that people like me are trying to bring doesn't get the attention. So, and that's the problem, you see. Nobody wants to hear positive stuff. It's not cool to be positive, you know, but every girl wants a bad boy. Like, it's just garbage to me, you know. So it's very difficult to deal with. You have to change the culture somehow, you know. So it's just deep. I don't know. There's a lot of problems that need to be dealt with, and it's gonna take a long time before they're resolved, you know. A lot of lifetimes gonna have to be wasted. I'm talking in prison before people realize. But thanks to those questions, Lenny, do you feel that times are changing for the better in terms of keeping youth on the streets? I think things are getting better. I think I try and see both sides of the coin. Well, okay, cool. Okay, I've read newspapers, and they've said things like there's more black youth going to university. When I flick on Instagram or Facebook, I see, you know, young boys starting up their businesses and whatnot, and I like it, you know, because I'm thinking, okay, they're hustling, but they're hustling for something that's not going to send them to jail for a long time. So, but then I read newspapers all the time, and I see black faces, or just young people getting stupid amounts of years for just stupid crimes. You know, it's just like, and most of the time, it's this. They do their stuff, they do their crime, and they post it on social media. Like back when I was trapping, or whatever you call it now, I was trapping to make the money. I didn't care about who saw it or not. Like nobody saw the money. You know what I'm trying to say? It was just me. You know, and then people I was trapping around. See, it's just like, you know, nobody needs to see the money, and it's just like now people are creating the cases for the police. The police don't have to do anything. So it's kind of like you've got. I think yes and no. Yes and no. It's getting better. You know, I think it's hard to judge. You know, because I can't see everything what's going on. So, but I think there's a lot of positive moves being taken anyway. So I'll give it that. Deal for you from such areas have to fight so many barriers just to get good position. Yes, one thing I know is one thing is now I can speak Queen's English, but I feel comfortable speaking slang. I speak it when I'm at work, and depending on which clients I'm speaking to, I'll speak accordingly. So if it's an old English couple, that, you know, I speak to them eloquently. If it's a young person, you know, that speaks normally, day to day lingo, I adapt and I'd say the same way, you know. And I feel like, you know, people can be so easily cut off when you speak. Say if it's like an eloquent person speaking to a person that's just not so eloquent, the connection can be broken automatically. So that's one thing you have to get over, is you have to be able to, yeah, I like speaking slang, but you have to know when to use it, you know, and that's the first thing. Plus, the way you conduct yourself, you says a lot, you know, on first impressions and whatnot. So there's a lot of things that you have to get on top of, you know, like things like getting slits in your eyebrows and some gold teeth as well. Like, I mean, you know, they're cool and that, but sometimes that can go against you, you know. So we're not saying black guys should always freaking curly permanent hair and comb it straight back like Gareth. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm just saying, just be yourself, but make sure you conduct yourself properly. And a lot of them don't know how to do that. which can also act as a barrier. So they just need to learn those basic skills for them to be able to move through society. You know, yeah, definitely speech is definitely a big thing, I reckon. I still speak it in the office, but you know, I didn't speak it in the interview, not at all. I spoke the best Queen's English, but after you get it, you don't need it no more, you know, because you've already made your first impression, you know. But yeah, Ruda, thanks for that question. Do you still feel you have some of your old mentality with you? Yeah, I still have it. I still have the old mentality. Thanks for that question, Frank. I don't think it ever goes, to be honest. You know, I understand. I've been given context to what I see in the newspapers and read about and all these statistics. I'm given context, but doesn't mean I'm gonna go out there and do it. But I think it's a good thing as well, man. You know, that you can see both sides of the fence, but yeah, I don't think it'll ever go. Just the way it is, you know. And I like it. I do like it, you know, because even when I'm around people that speak like the Queen, I was there like, is this person in the 20th century or what? Like, what? You see, so it's just, and even some of the you know, eloquent people I'm around, when they're around the Queen's English people, it's the Queen's English speaking people. It's just like, you know, it's just so yeah, I can't bring myself to that. I'm always gonna be myself, you know. I'm never gonna change. For anybody, you know, because I know who I am. So I doubt that the elements of the mentality will go. I mean, I still got the mentality, but it stays in here. You know, it doesn't turn into a prison sentence or, you know, or I don't know, or 10 baby mothers. You know, so it's just. It stays in the head, and that's best. That's best where it kept. That's where it's best kept. Thanks for that question, Frank. What would you tell young people about that lifestyle in your most honest words? And what do you think that you can say to them, which could motivate them? I'll go to my best teacher, my mum. If you're gonna do something, do it properly, you know. Otherwise, don't bother. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there saying fuck the police. That's cool, but don't sell drugs, please, because you're giving the police a reason to put their hands on you. Don't dance in the fire, complain about it. You know, take yourself away from the fire and maneuver around it and make something good of yourself. That's my advice. There's too many contradictions out there, you know. I've always said fuck the police, you know. But I only brought that thought into action when I left the streets. And I think that's one of the biggest contradictions on the streets out there, you know. I'm trying to think. Oh, this is about the last thing. Honest words. So, yeah, this as well. What you see in these music videos and these films, it's not like that. Trust me. It's not like that, man. Because you see what it is. You see, when I was on the streets, yeah, when I was making money, I had to go through people that I thought were my friends, trying to rob me, trying to set me up and get me robbed. People out there stepping on my toes, trying to take over the areas I was controlling. There's all sorts of hate going on. People trying to extort you for money, and it's just, I don't know. I feel like in the hood, nobody wants to see anyone do better than themselves, and it's like a dog eat dog world, you know. So it's not gonna be hunky dory. You know what I'm trying to say? It's just the way it is, and plus there's no rules on the street, so anything goes, you know. So, you know, that's what it is. It's not glamorous. Whatever you see in these music videos, it's not like that, man. Most of the cars that they have, they are rentals, man. You know. Because think about it. If you're a drug dealer and you're saying that on a music video, I don't know how stupid these people are. Because I know I'm not that stupid, but they have the number plates there. You think the police are not watching that? Say, okay, let's look out for that number plate and see. You know what I'm trying to say? It's clearly a rental. You know what I'm trying to say? If they've got any sort of sense in their head, you know, so it's not glamorous. It's not glamorous. It's boring. You know what I'm trying to say? It's tedious. You know, so don't let these people, what you see on these social media, fool you. And it's just gas. You know, If you're gonna do your thing, but stay on a low and dip in and dip out, man. That's what I say. But yeah, but I shouldn't be saying that. But like I said, man, you know, it's just one of those things. So if it's circumstantial and there's no way you're getting money, you gotta look after number one in it. But stay out of the police's way, man. You know what I'm trying to say. And yeah, but prevention is always better than cure. So whatever you see on these videos, most of it's gas. Yeah. Thanks for that question, Spieler. If anyone has any questions, right, we got. What would you say to someone that is in a situation he was before? Where do you want to be in 5 years? This is actually a good question. Thanks for this one, Shay. When I was sitting in jail, I was 16, and I was thinking to myself, okay, cool. Where am I going to be in 5 years? I'd always ask myself that question, and I thought the charges I'm looking at, I'm probably going to be coming out of jail in 5 years, trying to pick up the pieces. And that was a scary situation to be in, because I thought, well, imagine coming out at 21. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? So it's just, where do you see yourself in 5, 10, 15 years? You know, I'm trying to say, do you see yourself riding a long jail sentence? If you do, then you're going the right way about it. If not, then do something, you know. Because I try not to tell people what to do, man. You know, like, it's your life. That's what I'm trying to say. Because, you know, people start to get annoyed when it's like, stop telling me what to do in my life. Cool, I won't. But you can either choose that way or that way. It's your choice, you know. And I'm not going to tell you what to do. And I've seen how many people. I think reading the Birmingham Mail, it's like a. I don't know, man. I feel like it's entertainment now. But it shouldn't be. It's entertainment because I see so many faces of people doing this, doing that. I'm just like, boy, the guy still ain't changed, man. He was doing that back like 10 years ago when I was on the street. So it's like, it's just mad. So yeah, you can either ride a long sentence, end up being killed, you know, or you can figure out a way, educate yourself. I think education is important. That way nobody can pull the wool over your eyes, because a lot of these guys out here got a bit of money, they got no sense in their head, and hence why they're building the cases for the police, free of charge. So, but no. I'd say just put some sense in your head, educate yourself, and then figure a way out, man. You know, because the hood doesn't teach you much. It just teaches you how to make money and floss. That's it, man. You know, it's just where do you want to see yourself? Because my definition of a trap star is a person who, no, a trap star. My definition of a trap star is a person who, physically, mentally, economically, socially, and politically entraps themselves within the confines of the ghetto. That to me is a trap star. You're the best at, and you know, that to me is all a trap star is. You've entrapped yourselves in the hood in so many different capacities that it's almost impossible for you to get out, because you know, your academics are stuck in the hood, your finances are stuck in the hood, your social life is stuck in, everything's stuck in the hood, and the hood is such a small place, in all spectrums, that it's unlikely that there's going to be any growth. So please stay out. You know what I mean? That would be my best advice. But yeah, and there's always a way out. Trust me. If you're determined and you want to make a change, then you know you can do so. You know, there's opportunities out there. Take them before they're all gone. All right. Thanks for that one, Shay. Soraya Miller Green. Hey, do you look back with regret as an experience? You never regret it. To be honest, I think if I didn't go through that back then, I wouldn't be the guy I was today. So I went through a lot, but at least I'm not in jail 23, 4, 5 years. You know, experience all the way. It would have been regret if I was serving time in prison. Yeah, man. Like a lot of guys, it's mad because a lot of guys I used to be around. I'm not talking no small sentences, you know. I'm talking 20, 30, 30, 40 years in prison. You know what I'm trying to say? It's stupid. And I'm like, okay, I mean, life's hard, but at least I'm not him. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, no, I mean, I'm in a bad situation, but at least I'm not there. So there's always a bright side. You know, if that's in a pit, if I'm able to compare my situation to that, so it's always a bright side. So yeah, always an experience. Peter, what's up, bro? Have you faced any adversity from in the form of people? In terms of someone who has told you that you wouldn't be able to do it when trying to bet yourself. Did you use that as a motive? Of course, man. People doubt me. Doubt is just fuel to my fire, man. You know. All these white barristers telling me, Darren, you can't do it because you're black and you're not middle class. So I said, cool. You know, one of them said, oh, how are you going to do a master's, Darren? I was like, I'll find a way. And I managed to find a way. You know, because I said I wanted to do a master's and I did one. So, you know. And it's kind of, I don't know. If you're, the way I see it, man, is if you've got the mentality to do it, then it will just come into existence. You just have to think into existence, kind of thing. You know, it don't somehow, some way, that path will be formed for you. You know, so yeah, yeah, doubt definitely fuel. I've had doubt in so many different, even from my own family. Oh, your dad's just getting up in prison and whatnot, blah 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 blah. I'm like, watch me, just watch me, you know. And then when I came out on that graduation day, mother's in tears and that, you know, boasting to all her friends and that, you know, it's just like it's a great thing for a parent to be able to do that. So yeah, man. There's been a lot of doubt, but you listen to it and it's like, I hear your point, but I'm gonna do my own thing regardless. So yeah, I'm really self-motivated, and I look at other people and I'm like, yeah, that person's motivated me, you know. So it's just like, you know, I can learn off other people's journeys and make good of my own. So yeah. Oh, I think Peter was the last question. Are there any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? I can see there's 6 people watching. There's been quite a few questions. Let's have a look. Come on, I know you want to ask more questions.